In 1600, a man was burned alive in the center of Rome. His crime? He said other worlds exist, other suns, other skies. The church called it heresy. The crowd called it madness. And the flames did what flames are supposed to do. They silenced him. But here is what the church did not expect. 50 years later, a quiet man in Amsterdam picked up a piece of glass, the same kind textile merchants used to count threads in fabric, and pointed it at the night sky. And what he saw shattered everything. Rings around a planet, a moon no human eye had ever found before. And beyond that, more suns, more worlds. Exactly what the burned man had died for saying. His name was Christiaan Huygens, and nobody burned him. They gave him honors instead. What changed in 50 years? Not the universe. The universe was always the same. What changed was a city, one radical, unlikely, almost accidental experiment in human freedom. A place where a lens grinder could overturn the cosmos, where a refugee could rewrite God, where 3 men in a single neighborhood, without universities, without governments, without permission, looked deeper into reality than anyone had ever dared. This is the story of Amsterdam in the 17th century, and it is also the story of what happens when human curiosity is finally set free. When different kinds of people come together in a single place, ideas are exchanged and new possibilities arise. The city is a kind of brain, constantly creating and processing new ideas. Here, in the city of Amsterdam in the 17th century, citizens of the old world and the new mingled as they never had before, and there was an unprecedented freedom of thought. These conditions produced a golden age of science and art. In Italy, Giordano Bruno had proclaimed the existence of other worlds, and for this, he had been made to suffer. But a mere 50 years later, in Holland, the astronomer Christiaan Huygens, who held the very same belief, was showered with honors. Light was the central theme of the age, the enlightenment of human curiosity set free, the light that illuminated Europe's first look at once hidden realms of the natural world, the light that permeated the paintings of the time, particularly the work of Vermeer, and light as an object of scientific inquiry itself. For generations, textile merchants had used a lens to examine the thread count of finely stitched fabrics. In the Amsterdam of that time, 3 men whose passion for light inspired them to take that ancient device and use it in a completely new way. They aimed the textile merchant's lens at objects no one had ever thought to examine closely before. It became a window, an aperture for finding and exploring entirely new worlds. Antony van Leeuwenhoek used a single lens to reveal the teeming microcosm hidden inside a drop of water. His friend, Christiaan Huygens, used 2 lenses to bring the stars, planets, and moons close enough to reveal their true features. Huygens was the first to correctly describe Saturn's rings as a thin, flat disk surrounding the planet, solving a mystery that had puzzled astronomers for decades. He also discovered Saturn's largest moon, Titan, in 1655. Huygens, like Bruno before him, believed that the stars were other suns, each orbited by their own systems of planets and moons. But why was there no mention of those other worlds and the living things that might inhabit them in the sacred books? Whatever disquiet this contradiction stirred in the hearts and minds of Enlightenment thinkers, there was only one man who dared to address it head-on. He was another wizard of light. Baruch Spinoza had been a member of the Jewish congregation of Amsterdam through his teenage years. But in his early 20s, he began to speak publicly of a new vision of God. Spinoza's God was the physical laws of the universe. His sacred text, the Book of Nature. The Jews of Amsterdam were mostly refugees from the vicious inquisitions in Spain and Portugal, where so many of them had been tortured and murdered. Amsterdam had offered them refuge, and they must have seen Spinoza's radical ideas as a threat to their hard-won security in Holland. They excommunicated the young rebel and decreed that he must be forever shunned. Spinoza accepted their punishment with dignity, but without a trace of submission. He moved to The Hague, where he went even further, daring to write that the Bible was not dictated by God, but written by human beings. Spinoza wrote, "Do not look for God in miracles. Miracles are violations of the laws of nature. God is best understood through the study of those laws." No one had ever said these things aloud before. Spinoza knew he was testing the limits of free thought, even for Holland. To him, an official state religion was more than spiritual coercion of the individual. He regarded the miraculous events of the major religious traditions as organized superstition. In his view, magical thinking posed a danger to the future citizens of a rational, free society. There could be no such thing as democracy without the separation of church and state. He wrote a book that introduced the ideas at the very heart of the American Revolution, and many revolutions that followed. Then, as now, there were those who were threatened by his vision of God. Spinoza continued to write and speak his revolutionary philosophy, always wearing the slashed cape of his excommunication as a badge of honor. He died at 44, possibly from inhaling glass dust during his years of grinding lenses for microscopes and telescopes. 250 years later, another man with a lifelong passion for light made a pilgrimage to the humble workroom that had been preserved as a testament to the vast influence of Spinoza's philosophy. This man, world famous for discovering a new law of nature, was often asked whether he believed in God. Albert Einstein replied, "I believe in Spinoza's God, who reveals himself in the harmony of all that exists."